Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the West Coast. Today, I'm finally getting my potatoes in the ground. We have a victim. This particular victim is someone you all know very, very well. A couple of weeks ago, I had Simulate on here. If anybody have influenced the way that I play the game, it's early on in my farm sim, it was Simulate. Today's guest probably influences me the most when it comes to how I YouTube. When I first found Virtual Farmer, he was a smaller YouTuber, now he's big time, and it was the general tone of his chats that intrigued me the most about him. Now, he does a simulated, to not say realistic style farming, and that attracted me right away also. But generally, it's just, he taught me that really having good people around you and keeping it fun and keeping your energy up and being positive about the whole thing, that's what I wanted to do when I did YouTube. So, today, I have wrangled Mr. Virtual into coming to teach me how potatoes are done right. Let's see how that goes. Should be somewhere here. Just got in by the train. Hang on a second. And stop that. There we go. Where is he? There's the guy. How you doing, Virtual? Welcome to the West Coast.
Thank you very much.
Well, of course you know this map very well, but you know this is my alternate universe. So
yeah.
Welcome to my West Coast.
I've just escaped this map. So.
And just when you thought you were out, I pull you back in. So I picked you up in the car, in the motorcycle, because my other option was the Landy, but that was too predictable.
I was gonna say
So you get to sit in the buggy.
This is a different view for me.
Oh, it's going to be scary. You just wait till we get on the road. It's I've terrified more than my share of guests right here. Let's see. Yeah, so today we're doing potatoes. How do you feel about that?
Oh, excellent. Potatoes are pretty much one of my favorite things in farm sim.
Is it?
Yeah, I feel that potatoes are massively underrepresented.
I know, massively underrated, and the process. And the thing is that, you know, those of us who do... see if I can keep you out of the pole. Yep, I'm good. Don't kill the guest. Don't kill the guest. The one thing about potatoes that frustrates me is that the more I get into doing potatoes and the more I enjoy doing potatoes, I'm always a little bit disappointed at how Farm Sim represents potatoes.
Yeah.
There are several stages within the potato planting processes that are just missing from Farm Sim. Things like de-stoning and windrowing and things like that.
Exactly. I would love to see a de-stoner and a rower.
Yeah.
And the idea that you could have a that you have a first stage of potato that you can't then put any other type of crop in until you either cultivate it in or you plant potatoes.
Yeah.
And that would be fantastic.
I know. And like, especially for me, it's like that whole process that I've seen done on YouTube of the windrowing, where they make the big piles, then they de-stone those big piles, then they put in the machines that we use here on Farm Sim are basically stage 4. And
yeah.
And I feel like we're missing out in a weird way. And the other thing that I love about the potatoes in real life is the whole process of spraying lime and the foam it creates. And it's like, you know, I love that stuff. I've watched way too much YouTube, obviously. All right. Here we are. So this is where we're working from. Oh, you know what happened here? I think the shed got blown away. Okay. Immersion breaking here. Usually there's a shed here that covers all this equipment, but because of multiplayer, I may have turned it off in the options. So let's just pretend like that never happened, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
So this is the toy that I got you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty one. So here's the thing. It has MR in it.
Right.
It has a gearbox in it.
Okay.
And it's huge. So
the last one I'm not so worried about. The first two are going to make for a very interesting video.
I know it will. So here's the thing. I put the default transmission in this tractor is a CVT transmission. So it should pretty much function exactly the same way as with shuttle control as your default game.
Excellent.
Okay, so give that a try.
Yeah.
Let's put you in the machine and we'll give you a try.
Let's try it. Right. Well, it starts up the same way, so that is a good start.
There you go. So does the shuttle control work on it?
It did for a moment.
Okay, you may have to push in your clutch pedal to get it to work.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it goes into reverse nice and easily. It doesn't go into forward.
Okay.
That's all right. I can use the space bar. That will work.
Oh, does it work with the space bar?
It works with the space bar.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so we'll just do the space bar thing.
Okay, yeah.
So go ahead and take it into the field and just do a lap with it, just to see if it works for you. And then once you're ready to go, I will fill you up and we'll be fine.
Okay, I'm no longer sure exactly how I got this into forward.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I am. Okay, yeah.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll go with that. So go ahead and take a little drive around the field with it and make sure you're comfortable with the machine. I just always recommend one lap.
Yeah.
Whenever you're stepping into a new machine. All right. Meanwhile, I'm going to load up my seeder. Okay, you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, that actually handles quite nicely.
Beautiful, okay. So go ahead and park yourself. I've got some liquid fertilizer that I brought down here yesterday. So go ahead and fill up your liquid fertilizer tanks.
Okay.
This machine has no brakes at all. Okay, let's see here. How are we doing?
Oh, help if I select fertilizer tank.
Yeah, you have two sets of fertilizer tanks. You have one fertilizer tank on the front.
Yeah.
And then the other one on the back also is a fertilizer tank that has built-in tanks. So you may have to fill both of them.
Yeah, I filled one. It's filled.
Okay, so now I'm just going to fill your seeder with potatoes. Now, one of the things about that I've sort of researched is that usually when they fill these seeders, they do it from pallets. They bring in potato boxes and they have telehandlers and they fill them with telehandlers.
Yeah.
Which is something that I could have done because I do have the buy potatoes mod, but by then I'd already dumped all these potatoes here, so it's not happening that way. I
think one of my favorite things in 17 is the fact that you can fill your potato planter with potatoes you've harvested.
Yes. That is just fantastic. That part of the gameplay where every time I do potatoes, my first year of potatoes is basically I'm growing my seed. And then the moment I have my seed ready, then the second and third years, I can actually really hit my stride. And whoops, are you full?
Whoa. No.
Okay, just gonna.
For some reason it suddenly lurched forward.
Okay, let me just get here. Okay, how are you doing now?
All right, I've got my foot on the brake. Hard.
Okay. Good idea. So, are you full of potatoes?
I am full of potatoes.
Oops. And I just dumped a bunch of them on the ground. That's really amateurish. And then I ran over them with the loader. This is really not good.
Did you see my recent live stream? Exactly that.
I'm not going to put too fine a point on it, but you had an epic live stream today. We are recording this on Sunday, and
We are.
And VF just came out of an absolutely epic live stream. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I've never had a live stream like that.
You had more viewers today, more likes today, a crazy number of subs. It was pretty amazing. All right, let's see here. Now, lift her up. There we go. Oh, I may be a little bit light in the front there. I'm a lot light in the front.
I wonder if that's the weights you turned off. Oh no. That doesn't have a front. That doesn't have a front load.
No, it doesn't have a heavy enough front weight on it, I guess.
No.
So, okay, I have two choices now. I can either totally bail on this, or we can fake it. So I'm going to fake it. I'm going to drag my cedar to the field. Okay, so the field we are going to be working on is going to be field number 4. So let me go ahead of you here for a second, and I will lead you to the field. There's several entrances to this field. Now, just dragging the cedar with behind me. As long as I don't turn it on, I should be fine. How this is going to work, I guess I should only half load it with potatoes because it carries the empty one just fine.
Yeah, it's finding that level where it's it doesn't have the issue.
Okay, so here's the entrance to the field right here. Let's see if I can squeeze in here. It's going to, of course, affect my turning radius. Ooh. But I should be okay. Hang on.
I'll follow less close.
One more. Okay. One more. And I'll try to turn. Beautifully done. Okay, let's go and find the halfway point. Hang on a second. And then I stalled it. I hooked up on a... See, I'm an amateur. All right. And forward. Come on, you can get in here. Beautifully done. There you go. So what can you make it?
I tried to go wide and got stuck on a telegraph cross.
If you have to, you can go straight ahead and use the entrance at the bottom of the field on the main road. I don't think there's a gate on that one.
I'll be alright in a moment.
Alright. So we're going to start this little process here. Because we have different sizes of cedars, I'm going to let VF do the first pass across the field in this direction. His John Deere has GPS on it and I do not. So if he sets the row direction, I can probably keep myself on the straight and narrow in some manner. There he comes.
Yeah, you didn't see that.
No, never. I looked away. Don't worry about it. I looked away. I looked away the whole time. Okay, so explain to me the philosophy behind planting potatoes this way, because the one thing I've always noticed from Cobra on is that whenever you get onto a bullet bill map, this is how he does potatoes.
Now, as I understand it, and the thing is, this is how I've always known potatoes planted.
Right.
So the actual agricultural theory behind it, I'm not 100% sure on, but it's mainly two reasons. One is to get the irrigator around the field,
right?
Because you're always irrigating potatoes.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good to know.
And the other is to allow harvesters and even the planters themselves, you know, the distoners and things, need to turn around at the corners.
Right.
So you end up with these big patches at the corners because the distoners and things like that can't go right to the edge of the field.
Oh, okay.
And so you end up with these headlands round with big patches in the corner.
Right.
In order, because that's where they've turned around and they've done
all their mess,
their work and their mess.
Oh, okay. So it's not even it's not even worth planting those because you're going to get wrecked anyway.
Well, there's no ridge there to plant it.
Right. Okay. All right, so if you unfold that thing,
Yeah. Ooh,
I think it's. Let's see if well, it might be too close, but let's check it out. And that lifts, and that opens.
There we go.
Am I too close? Nope, perfect, nailed it. Okay, so you've got your GPS set up.
I have. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it is at 90 degrees.
Perfect.
So I'm going to turn it. There we go.
I would say, like, don't turn it too much because of the way that Farm Sim does potato rows. It's best to let it do it so that it has the, so that when you're doing it visually, it's more pretty if you are actually following the rows that Farm Sim dictates. Because this map has multi-terrain angle, but multi-terrain angle does not apply to the actual finished crop. So it's kind of a cheat you have to do. And that's the other thing too. And then you're going to hear us talking about this a lot, where we have to adapt the way we do things in Farm Sim for the game and still try to remain true to how it's done so that it's fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, so where are you going to start?
So I am going to go about a tractor and and planter's length in. Woo. Got a little bit of lag.
Okay.
So about, yeah, roughly where you are, I think.
Perfect.
There. And that then will actually plant slightly further in.
Right, okay. And that's how you do the main body of it.
And that's how I do the main body of it.
Okay.
So that then should give me enough width to put the road or the sort of the dirt track around the edge between the main body and the headland.
Oh, okay, perfect. Go for it. I'm gonna follow you for the first pass, and then I will. Once we have the limits of the field set out by your seeder, then I will plant mine within the same confines.
Okay. So away we go. Nice straight road.
Beautiful. That's what we like to see. It's a good-looking machine too.
It is. It's a fantastic machine.
This is my first mod of a John Deere that I felt I could use. I have never, ever had one before. This was the first one that spoke to me.
I think I've used I've used one of these 7Rs in one of my series of things, and then gorgeous tractor.
I first saw it when Rainbow Dave did a review of it, and he was amazed by it, and I figured, well, if they can impress Rainbow Dave, maybe I should take a look at it. Beautiful. So at this end, it's easier for you to tell where to stop because you've got the full length of the tractor to guide you.
But now this is the interesting bit. So here, I'm going to stop a fair way away.
Yep.
And that's simply because we've got a diagonal here.
Ah, okay, I see. And the next crop will come in from me. Like there's going to be a row that comes in from this side here.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. And then you turn
yourself
around.
So it looks like I'm stopping really early, but in fact, once you take it into account, it makes sense.
Okay, perfect. So now it becomes easier for you to line up your second one because you're basically doing it in relation to your first one.
Exactly. Whoa.
Which is why it's going to be a lot easier for me to do it this way because now that VF has set up the limits of the field, I can take my smaller seeder and just follow his lead and do it within the confines of that same seeding texture.
So similarly now, I will... So you can see here that the length that I have between that corner and where the bits here are now less than a tractor.
Right.
So getting that judge on a diagonal is quite hard most of the time.
Yeah. So this is a fair distance away from this corner now, so he can drop it right about there.
Down like that. Set the GPS, and away I go.
Beautifully done. I love this potato texture. I do wish it was three-dimensional, but I do love it.
It's one of those things where a lot of people, one of the things people ask for in FS19 is dynamic terrain.
Yeah.
I've played games with it, and I'm not sure I want it.
Really, eh? What's your what was
Well,
your
the
impression of
game,
it?
the game that I've played most recently that has it is Farmer's Destiny, which of course is up in the air as to what's going to happen with that game. But I did some ploughing with it,
Oh,
and it basically created giant ruts that the tractor fell into.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the size of the tractor, pretty much.
So kind of like what happens with ground response, only times 10 kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do like that Farmer's Dynasty game because it's. I like what they've done with the look of it. I like what they've done with the textures on it, but I don't think it's not really my game style at all.
It's a nice, different way of doing a farm simulator.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with it at the moment is got a copyright claim on it, and I can't play it as a result.
They'll get that sorted, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't want to risk that really.
So for me, how do I do this? I drop down that marker, and then I start playing, and I go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow VF's lead, try to keep myself along his track as much as I can. Straight as an arrow. How's that marker doing? No, it's good. Okay, good. Now, the one other problem I have with using field markers or with using seeding markers on these fields is that what they're laying down is plow texture. And plow texture and ground response are derpy at best, so it may cause me problems when it comes to driving straight, but I think I have the wheelbase on this tractor that if I straddle the texture, I should be fine. I should be able to keep it somewhat reasonably lined up. So now I get to the end here, I lift that, I turn off my seeder, and I turn it around. That's not half bad, actually. Now the other difference also is that you have fertilization in your monster rig, and I don't. So I will have to come back and fertilize half the field. But now that you mention irrigation,
Yeah, I have seen an irrigator mod.
There may be a mod for that on FSUK.
And I've kind of gone, I really wanted to give that a try.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially if I could get it to work with potatoes.
Yeah. But I think that mod especially is a really good multiplayer mod.
Yeah, I've not tried it, and I'm kind of unsure as exactly how it would work.
And reset my head tracking now that I'm straight in my seat. Now I may have started my seeder a little late back there, but you know, I am the Padawan to my Jedi Master here.
Yeah, wait till you see my lineup at this end.
People who watch my channel understand my my lack of deference to perfection. I tend to make the fields by hand, and I tend to do them to the best of my ability, whatever limits those happen to be.
Farming Simulator gives me a new level of respect to real farmers who get these things very, very exact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if I can't get it that exact in a computer game, there's no way I could do it if I was doing it day to day.
Yeah. My God.
And it has been a long time since I worked on a farm.
I feel like I'm juggling here. Between the manual gearbox, the planter that I need to turn on and off, the side markers, I managed to stall the tractor at the end of the row. I'll get it. Learning is fun. Trust me on this.
Indeed. It was one of the things, actually, seeing potatoes planted properly on Bullet Bill's maps was one of those things where it kind of made me go squee the first time I saw it.
Yeah. Was that on Cobra?
Cobra is one of my favourite maps in Farm Sim ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, just seeing potatoes planted properly on Cobra was just a thing of beauty.
See, for me, there was that field over near the shops, and he did that field the proper way, and it was the textures that he painted on. And then I went on to Google Earth and I checked out Cobra Park Farm. And on Google Earth, all of the photography of Cobra Park Farm has the fields planted properly. And that's when this whole thing about planting potatoes the British way really tweaked me. I mean, it became rather obvious right away that there was a reason why this was being done. And when I talked to my European friends, especially my Belgium friend, oops, and turn that off. Nope, not that one. Good, turn off the cedar. Oh, I see. If I turn off the cedar, my marker comes up automatically. That's good. I may be missing the edge here. I may be leaving a rather large section untouched. Let me readjust it on this pass. Just a little bit. Like so. And I will start it right about here. There we go. Potato texture on. Field ridge marker on. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. Your channel has seemed to explode in the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's been amazing. A lot of it is thanks to Daggerwin. I mean, Daggerwin has been really nice to me.
Yeah,
really
no kidding.
Nice. Well, I asked him because he asked me for permission to use the Landy.
Yeah, that was very very courteous of him, actually. A
really nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you know, yeah, please do. You know, I want people to use it. Thank you. You know, give us a credit, and that's great.
Yeah.
And then I saw that added on to my email. And if you give, you know, your viewers a small nudge towards my channel, yeah, I'd be very appreciative. Right. Not a requirement of the mod or anything, but you know, can you give people a nudge?
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You know, say no more.
Well, his response was, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you a massive shout out." And I went, "A massive shout out? Oh God,
I'm not prepared for this.
I'm not prepared for that." And then I saw the video where he did it, and I just went, "That's not a massive shout out. That's just going. That's
go now. Go get him now. Go see him now." And the thing it was amazing because not only did he give you a shout out on the Landy episode, but then again when you gave him the trailer.
Yeah.
So it was like a 3-episode shout out that you got.
I'm just going, and the thing is, I swear that every time he uses the Landy now, my channel gets a bump.
Wow. That's fantastic.
And today's video, he uses the Landy a lot.
Yeah, he used it to bring in wool, I think he was doing today.
And it's the best views I've had in about 3 or 4 days.
Nice, nicely done.
You know, and I mean that's amazing.
It's amazing, right? I mean, when you look back at, you know, I found you because of Rainbow Dave shouting you out. You know, when Rainbow Dave a 1.5 years ago said, "Oh, you got to go see this guy. He does it right," you know, I immediately went over, and then I think I was your second moderator or something like that on your channel.
Yeah, I remember that stream because I'm streaming. I've got a lot of people coming in here because I was actually having some fairly big streams at the time.
Yeah.
Big for me at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I don't have a moderator in here. I only have none. And you came in and I went, I trust Mark. Mark is awesome. Okay, here, have a spanner, Mark. And the silence from the other side of the internet was palpable. It was, I don't know how to do this.
That's it. We were learning together at that stage because that was my first time anybody said, "Here, you do it," and I was like, "Huh? Wait a minute. There's other buttons on this thing. I was just watching YouTube. This is so wrong." Well, I guess we've both learned a lot since then. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Right now, it's becoming harder and harder for me to watch a stream without getting a spanner.
Yeah, I started something.
I know.
But yeah, I'm very thankful to Rainbow Dave, because Rainbow Dave did give me this massive bump at the end of 2016.
Where were you at that stage? Like, where were, like, when I came in? I forget now if you were pushing for 500 or you were pushing for 1,000.
So when so November 2016, end of November, I had 150 subs.
Wow!
I just celebrated getting 100 subs, and had a little bit of a bump up to 50, and just and then Dave gave me a shout out, and the thing was, if I got to if I got to 500 subs by Christmas,
yes,
so 3 weeks,
yep,
to triple the number of subs I had,
yeah,
I'd sing Christmas carols on Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was singing Christmas carols on Christmas Eve. It was utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, once it got rolling, there was no stopping it.
There was no stopping it. And it's only been surpassed by the ridiculous of the last 4 weeks.
That's it.
In the with the number of subs I was getting at the end of last year, I set my sub goal for this year at 3,500.
Oh wow, nicely done.
I surpassed that 3 days ago.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that. Well, I was watching your stream today, and you had to reset your sub goal 5 times, I think.
Yeah. That has just been incredible.
I know. It's incredible, like, how you get through these phases, right, where nothing is moving, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, well, you know, maybe that's as high as it goes. And then something happens in the universe, and all of a sudden things kind of just start piling up on each other, and you just start running it up.
In all honesty, I think at the end of last year I waited too long before I did another roleplay.
Yeah, you think so?
Roleplays are by far the most popular stuff that I do.
Because you did a roleplay on Pemberlin.
I did. The trouble with the roleplay on Pemberlin, I think, and the reason why it hasn't been so successful as the other two, is that it wasn't on a released map.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And I know from people who watch me, people actually don't like to see me play on a map they can't go and download themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 2 maps last year that I got early releases.
Yeah.
And just didn't get the life in the series, because either the map wasn't released or it was too long between me starting the series and the map getting released.
That's it. No, I totally understand that, because it's I know that even within the North American modding community, there is a certain amount of proprietary modding kind of thing that they do, where they don't share mods very much. And I know that I know how much that frustrates me as a watcher. I tend to not watch those shows, because if I'm watching, if I'm going to invest an hour of my time or a half hour of my time in an episode, I'd like to have something at the end of it that I can apply to my own farming. I'd like to have something at the end of it that I can take home and say, oh, okay, that's how you do that. That's how, you know, that's how I can play this part of the game. And I find the exclusivity hurts that. It hurts that in terms of, it creates kind of a second strata of farm sim, if you want, where there's the haves and have-nots. And if you're watching someone play something and you're always waiting for it, I find that sort of plays against it. Plus, I find that playing maps that aren't releasing yet for too long before they're released, it kills the map.
Oh, it really does.
It just
it was one of my worries about Oakfield.
Yeah, I mean, Oakfield, I think Landy was up to 50 episodes. I think, you know, or I don't know how far he is, but it's one of those things. It's like, now he's not going to get to play it much longer now that it's out.
Well, I got to the point this week where I'm looking at other maps and I'm going, I don't know whether Oakfield is a map that I want to do at this point.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm very thankful that I am doing it.
Yeah.
Because it is awesome. It is absolutely amazing map. But it did get to the point where I'm going, I don't know if me doing this map, if I'm not going to get lost in a sea of people who have had the pre-release for it.
Yes, that's it.
You know?
And I think that that's sort of why I was very reticent to even start on the West Coast because of that. And then I just ended up sort of throwing my arms up and saying, you know what? You love the map. You love to play it. I have had a few opportunities to spend a few days on it in the past. And I kind of figured, you know what? The West Coast, it hits all the right buttons with me. It's my perfect map. So why wouldn't I go ahead and play it through my own way and see what happens? And I think that in the end, the map itself is less important than how you play it, how you present it. And if you're going to present a map like Ballycraig, which a few other YouTubers have latched onto, but you're going to present it with Eddie and you're going to present it in your own way, I think that at that point, the whole oversaturation thing just goes away.
Yeah. People tend to watch my stuff because it's me doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm and at the end of the day, I'm not Landy.
No.
And I play it in my own way.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you're one of those people who, because when I first started talking to you and we first started, you know, hanging out on streams and stuff like that, your experience as a farmer informed a lot of the questions that I had about, am I doing this right or am I doing that right? And there's a whole lot of your viewers that were in the same place where we were trying to simulate farming but had no clue about what farming was. So having someone who straddles the two worlds with some experience of farming and a really good experience of what the game does, then that becomes a very watchable stream. I think I'm doing okay.
And it's nice to see people respond to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Getting rewarded for doing it your own way.
Exactly. And in fact, when I haven't done it in my own way, when I've tried to emulate someone else or that's when I've been punished. That's when my channel has done less well.
That's it.
Which brings me back to the whole roleplay thing.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that because you, like, I only do the role play. I sort of do a role play in a way that I do a role play / let's play. But you have enough different maps and different series going all the time that if somebody is not into the role play, there's still enough content there for them to get into it. But because it's you, because people join your channel because they like you, then the role play is amazing. I love your role plays. I never miss one. So it's just one of those things that you sort of get to know the guy, and then he's got his little stories, and then things go horribly wrong, and you know you try again.
The steering issue with the cheetah. So I'm in character. Yeah. I have and I'm trying to do a role play.
Yeah.
And my wheel starts playing up.
Yep.
And there is only one thing you can do. Well, there's two things you do. You either scrap the entire recording.
Yep.
Or you go with it.
Yep.
And I decided, hell, I'm halfway into this video. I'm gonna go with it.
Yep, that's it. Like usually that's when what my viewers get when that happens is I flash up color bars. I go beep. Okay, well that didn't work out. Let's try something completely different.
But yeah, that was fun because it's then trying not to swear at your equipment.
Right, try to keep it cool.
Try to keep in character.
And if
not swear at the equipment.
And if people are out there right now and you want to watch a guy trying to keep it cool, please go watch the archive of today's stream. It was, I mean, watch it all the way through because it builds nicely. You basically get this guy, and then all of a sudden, people start showing up. Bullet Bill shows up. CD Models shows up. Everybody starts showing up in the stream. Mr. VF gets a little bit flustered, starts hitting things with his truck, and then the next thing you know, the screen goes black. And and we have a screen capture of VF's face when that happens.
Oh,
it
man.
is genius. I was rolling on the floor because I've got you on my Steam group, and all I saw was a little icon come up on my Steam group said, Virtual Farmer is starting to play Farming Simulator. And I went, that's odd. And then my screen went black. And it's like, this is going to be good.
Again, how I managed not to swear very loudly at that point, I don't know. Now, there's two trains of thought when you get to the edge of a field.
Okay.
With potatoes.
Right.
One is, and it probably is the way that I would do it at this end.
Okay. Is
that you have the headland with the gap.
Right.
With space to come in the entrance.
Right, so at the gate.
I have it at my end. And then the other end, it goes right up to the edge.
Ah, okay. So near my end of the field, it would be right up to the edge?
Yeah, so you don't get the roadway, the track, the whole way, all the way around the field.
Okay. And the track is used by the sprayer, and it's used by a...
so yeah, it'd be used by a sprayer. The big thing that uses it is the irrigator. So the irrigator runs around the edge of the field, doing that, and it allows you to place the irrigation pipes along, and allows the tractor to drive along and place the irrigator and all that kind of.
Nicely done.
Without destroying potatoes.
Okay. I wonder if that's modeled in the irrigation mod. That the when you pull the irrigator across the field, it doesn't wreck the crop.
It would be interesting. You'd certainly have to use care wheels on the tractor that you pull the irrigator out with.
Yeah.
But it's more the actual rig, the hose rig, that pulls it in. That's what sits on the track. And then you pull it along and you pull the nozzle.
So I'm running into a weird field thing here where my potato is sort of lifting up, and I'm thinking it's because of the angle of the field that it's actually lifting up the potato seeder. But I'm also thinking maybe I'm going too fast. So I'm going to drop my gears. I've reached
the point at which I don't want to be seeding any further.
Okay. So you can either come up here and finish the very top, which will be an interesting experiment for you because it will give you the hill starting from the sheds is quite steep. So I'd love for you to give that a try. See how you feel about MR with the hill being what it is down there.
Okie doke. Yeah, we've actually left a good gap.
Good. Now, that would be something that I should probably seed with the smaller seeder then, wouldn't it?
Yes. You'd probably get 2 rows in with the smaller seeder, I think.
Ah, okay.
Or not far off.
Okay. So I'm going to keep moving
Leave
here.
Enough bit for... And move that across a bit.
So how are you finding the more realistic? How are you finding the way the tractor moves and the way that the implements move? Are you noticing it at all?
It's not as big a change as I thought it would be.
No, eh?
To be honest. Admittedly, this is the first time I've had it on a big slope.
Yes. But it's also you're sort of starting out with a big enough machine. More realistic will come to bite you when you're plowing.
Yes.
Plowing is one of those things that on a map causes huge frictions to your tractor. Realistically speaking, it does that in real life, right? I mean, that is the hardest job you can give a tractor is plowing a field.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the things that amazes me in Farm Sim. Actually, it's the TW35. TW35 amazes me as a tractor.
Yeah.
In Farm Sim, it's a mid to low range powered tractor.
Yeah.
On my dad's farm, that was our plowing tractor.
So how many furrows how big a plow were you pulling with that? Oops, I just ran out of...
I think it was probably about a 5-furrow plow.
Oh, okay. So the equivalent of like an Amazon kind of plow?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always remember that being the biggest tractor we had on the farm.
Right.
And it just shows how far farming's come in 20 years.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I mean my uncle farmed his entire farm with nothing bigger than a 1455. You know, wow. and they had 200 head of cattle. They were pulling balers and seeders and wagons and all sorts of stuff. So, how are you doing for seed?
I still have 32%.
Beautiful.
So I'm good.
That's awesome. So I'm going to watch you work for a little bit. And I'm going to park my tractor off to one side. That is a nice seeder you got there. I like that.
It is.
I almost
I think this is the one I used, Matt.
Yeah.
Although I put this seeder on the TW15.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's when you know you're not playing with MR.
That was also an episode where you see me fight a tractor going sideways for the entire episode.
That's awesome.
I knew I'd put an underpowered tractor on it. I didn't realize how much work it was going to be. I think I had the TW. I think I had the 35 off somewhere doing ploughing or something like that.
Okay.
But I've got to get these potatoes in. And yeah.
This is awesome. This is great.
Another episode where my bright and sunny disposition was shining through.
As you were biting your lip?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and stand down here. Look at the hill look at this hill, and you see that the whole slope of it is, if you try to seed this field going in that direction, you're done for. Going in this direction, there's a bit of a slope, a bit of a heavy-duty slope at the beginning of it, but by the time it gets up here, you're almost in flat ground. And that's the thing with more realistic. If you ever start playing with more realistic, you have to sort of stand up in your field, look at it, get a plan of action for how are you going to be able to pull your equipment across it, and then go ahead and do it. And especially if you're plowing.
It becomes not just what's the longest side of the field.
Exactly.
Also, can I actually work the longest side of the field?
That's it. And you look at the longest side of the field and you think to yourself, oh, you know, in normal farm sim, I just need to paint on this texture. It's not a problem. With more realistic, you become a little bit more attuned to all the curves and all of the hills that the map makers put into their maps. And there is, this map in particular amongst the MR community has a horrible reputation. It's quote unquote undoable with MR. But if you actually look at it and you actually get a feel for it, it gives you that much more of an appreciation for what Bullet Bill created here, in that those harder fields have to be farmed in a different way. And I love that about it. I just adore the map for that.
It requires a little more thought.
A little more thought. And everything you do, you know, every time you go and purchase a plow or you purchase a cultivator, the weight that you put onto your tractors, things like wheel weights and front weights become crucial for traction. So you need to have, like on that tractor, if I didn't have your fertilizer tank on the front of it, I would need a rather large weight to balance it out. And that's the sort of thing that when you're playing more realistic, it becomes very important. You can't just, you know, turn on the game, hit go, paint some textures onto the map, and move on. And that's the part that I love about it, but I can see why it's incredibly frustrating to a whole bunch of people who tried it and now, you know, have sort of given up on it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me, because it's. I don't think I don't think MR is probably right for the way I do stuff.
No, it probably isn't, and it's
but
good to know that.
I can see where that frustration would come from.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I mean,
I think if I wasn't doing YouTube videos, if I was just playing for myself,
yeah,
I'd be playing longer seasons.
Yeah.
and B, I think I would be doing I'd be doing it with MR.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
just to get that level of realism to it.
yeah. And the thing about it too is that I found that what happened to me was that I found that the game was becoming too predictable, too. I'm not going to say boring, but it became rather easy. And I started playing. I found that I was starting to play the game mechanics instead of playing farming. And when I started doing that, that's when Gearbox and MR and Seasons and all of those things came online and changed the way that I look at the game as a simulator, and making me have to work for things and making me have to choose smaller pieces of equipment to do some jobs than I would like to, because that's what I can afford, or that's what my tractor can handle. And it has that aspect to it. I don't recommend trying to do a daily show and run MR. I seriously don't.
No. But Seasons, I love. Seasons, for me, reinvigorated the whole game.
Oh, absolutely.
And the first roleplay actually came slightly out of how can I use Seasons in this. I'm hoping with Oakfield I've come up with another way to use Seasons effectively.
Yeah.
Because it is a little bit of a risk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Seasons is the Let's Play. I'm gonna have to overlap a little bit of yours.
Well, I did such a horrible job on that last row. It's not going to suffer much from it. Okay, so now, give me no. We're going to let you finish first, and then I'm going to kick in the drone so we can see what VF is going to do to finish this field in the proper British potato way. And I say British because I was talking to a Belgium potato farmer a couple of weeks ago and asked him why they didn't do it this way. Again, I was watching YouTube and started a conversation with a complete stranger, and they are... This is the thing. Let me just sidetrack a bit here. The way that I met VF, the way that I met Rainbow Dave, the way that I met Simulate, the way I met everybody is that I ask questions. I'm curious. And I find that all over the world, people immediately respond to properly phrased curiosity. So I was talking to this Belgian farmer, and he was saying how what they do instead of doing this is that they plant the whole field, and then right before harvest season, they cordon off the corners and they give away the potatoes in the corners to the local churches or all that stuff, because those potatoes are not the best, and they're not worth trampling on with the harvesters, and that's what they do. So they will cover a field in potato, and the waste goes to charity.
I'm wondering if part of the reason for that is if they have to irrigate their fields less.
Maybe, yeah, because they are in a floodplain. They are in basically reclaimed land, right there in a marsh. Okay, so engage the drone, and up we go. All right, VF, you get to show us now, how do you treat these edges, because we've got a huge amount of the field that hasn't been planted yet.
So basically, if I use my tractor here, this is the point I turn GPS off because it's now useless.
There you go.
And basically, you come around and you just plant the edges.
So now in Farm Sim, you're going to plant the edges all the way up to the grass, because that gives you a headland, then a row, then a second headland for the sprayer, and so you'll have to harvest the crop on the edges first.
Yes.
Okay.
So the way I've always done it in Farm Sim, and the way I've always seen it in real life, is it's always, if you're harvesting, it's always headland first, field second. And if you're planting or ploughing or cultivating, it's always field first, headland second.
Right.
That way you rarely trample over your work.
Right. And you would, of course, leave little breaks in this planting where, say, the entrance is over there.
Yeah, so here is a good example of where you'd leave a break. So I'd go up to the edge here, and it actually works because it's in a corner as well.
Ah, okay.
Lift up.
Now this is the thing here that I was talking about earlier. You see the chevron here. I'm talking to my viewers. The chevron here is Farm Sim only has 2 or basically 4 angles on potato texture. No matter how much multi-terrain angle you put in a map, you will never get away from that. So that's the part that I get frustrated about, but there's a way to work that around. And you can see VF is going straight down this row here, and that looks pretty reasonable now. So there's a certain amount of doing this if you want it to look realistic, if you want to play it this way, that playing the field angles and being aware of the field angles is going to matter for you. This is pretty awesome. You're doing a good job there, VF.
Yeah, we'd left about the right gap for the seed.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it, I think. It's beautiful. So now the corners don't get any potatoes because that's going to be a turnaround spot for the big Grimmy, which may or may not end up on this map. Oh, hang on a second. I'm going to drop from the sky. Banzai!
Hey!
Let me close this for you.
Yeah, I've left a bit of a big gap at this corner here.
That's all right.
But yeah, actually, to be perfectly honest, you would probably have a gap like that, and then you'd add the extra bit to the headland rather than the field.
There you go. So now we're looking at this corner here, and we have to make a decision. Okay, do you make the turn, or do you stop and then turn?
I think I'd probably get up to about here-ish, and then lift.
Because that actually gives you a nice long area to turn the irrigator around just right there.
Yeah.
The other thing that this does by lifting it when you make the corners is that you'll see when he starts up the seeder again, the lines on the potatoes will again look natural. And as long as you don't make those sharp corners, you can pull off a semi-natural looking curve. That's not going to be possible in this next jog here because it almost goes at a 45-degree angle, and it's going to, well, it's going to look wonky. I'm glad I brought you in. You are a pro at this.
Whoa!
A little bit of lag?
A little bit of lag.
Yeah, I know. Server games.
Oh, yeah.
When Farm Sim interferes with simulation. So there's a gate here, too, for an entrance. Oh, no, that's a walking path. So the locals can come and steal the potatoes there.
I realise I didn't leave the gate at the far side.
The gate at the far side.
Access to this field is going to have to be down by the barn.
Ah, yes. That's all right. That's actually, I think I'm going to use that barn over there as my staging area anyway. So that'll be absolutely perfect. I can come into the gap that was left there because everything's got to go back to that barn for storage anyway. It'll be absolutely perfect.
And then up to the corner
here. There you go. Perfect. That is brilliant, Virtual. Thank you so much. That is
my pleasure.
Beautifully done. So now I'm ready for. I've got to do field 3, 2, and 1, all of which are smaller fields, and I can easily do with my smaller planter. So I can return this to the rental company. That'd be a problem at all. So if you want to bring it back down to the yard down there,
yeah.
Because now you can follow your own little path here that you left as untouched.
Going the long way round.
I, on the other hand, may be trapped. Let's give it a shot.
You may have to drive up to the corner.
Yeah. Let's see if I can do this without losing control because I. Oh no, I can lift my seeder now that it's empty. Still a bit of a struggle. I don't drive very powerful tractors on these farms. Although, come to think of it, I'm not sure that this tractor is that much less power than the John Deere. By the time you add the all of the chipping and stuff that Maddie has done to this one. Okay, I may have to trample crop here because I think this branch is going to get me. And missed it. Good. So now I can cut into the field because I've got a clear area.
This barn or where we start?
Where we started. I'll get the contractors to come and get it from there. Yeah, so typically you would leave this gate here unseated also, so that would be a shortcut in, but as I have the large entrance over there at the end of the field, oh, slowly, Mark. There you go. Don't try to trample too much. And wobbling. It's still a little bit heavy for the back of this. I've got Maddie working on a front hydraulic for this tractor. I think that right now the maximum number of weight that I can put on using suitcase weights is about 1,000 pounds. And for some of the things that I put it through, it's just a little bit light in the nose. But this is pretty much the heaviest thing I lift with this, so it's one of those things where I can't really use a tractor without front hydraulic. Yeah. In the game. And now that we've got all sorts of weights that are adjustable, like the SOB weight, like the I love the SOB weight. Yeah, there's so many of those that are just amazing now that you can literally balance your tractor. And with MR, frankly, you can't do without it because you're always trying to balance your traction and your wheel slip between all the different wheels. Like you had tracks on today. But if I was going to get the John Deere with the wheels to do the same job, I would have had to put the wheel weights on it to get you the traction in the back to be able to pull that seeder. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's in MR, it's not the horsepower that's king. It's weight distribution. You have to get your tractor balanced, or else you're just going to fight it the whole way. All right, that looks beautiful. There we go. Thank you so much, Virtual. It's been an absolute joy having you and an honor. And I can't thank you enough for all of the things in the last year and all of those wonderful streams that I got to sit on and all the knowledge that you share so freely and all that stuff. It's been amazing knowing you and amazing hanging out with you. Well, thank you very much. I've had an absolute blast. Perfect. It's been great fun. Oh, can you do the thing? Can you do the thing at the end of the stream? Oh, yeah. Yeah, do that. Okay, do it. Okay, I just gotta remember it now. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, drop us a comment, and give it a share. And for all the latest videos from the channel, please hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Goodbye. You have no idea how much of a thrill that was. Goodbye.